This is Laura, aka the Sound Sommelier, here with Clockwork DJ. What's your earliest memory of hip hop?
Oh, you just get right into it, huh?
Yeah. I mean, we can have a little chit chat if you want, but
my earliest memory of hip hop would be Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back, seeing that music video on MTV. That was like my first one of my first memories of hip hop that I can remember. And that video actually made me want to become a DJ.
Oh, nice.
Oddly enough, yeah. So shout out to Sir Mix-a-Lot, shout out to Seattle. What's up?
I remember that video.
Yeah. So seeing it as a kid inspired me a lot.
Nice. So you were born and raised in Cincinnati. What are some of the earliest records you recall hearing in your home?
It's a good question. The Average White Band, is that the name of the group? Average White Band, Steely Dan, Rolling Stones, Earth, Wind and Fire, Ohio Players.
Wow, nice.
Bob Marley, Shabba Ranks, Shaka Khan.
Wow.
Michael Jackson. So many people. Miles Davis. I'm trying to like really think of everything, but yeah, it was a pretty eclectic house. Like growing up, I really have to thank my parents for that.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good mix.
Yeah.
Did any of their records in particular stand out, or it was just kind of like one long?
A lot of the, mostly just like the artists in general, like groups, a lot of records do stand out, but like we'd be on the phone for like 2 or 3 hours.
Fair. Another interview.
but yeah.
Did you play any instruments when you were younger?
Piano. Yeah, piano, keyboard, and later transitioned into turntables.
Do you still play it at all?
Yes and no. I'm reteaching myself right now because I mean it's a vital part of producing is learning how to reading music is very vital, but learning or is key.
Right.
But learning how to play can be vital to your producing game. So I'm like reteaching myself right now.
Nice. So you said that you got into rapping in high school, but that DJing took off even before that. When did you start DJing?
15, 16 is when I started DJing. I from what I can remember, and I rapped a little bit before that, but I mean that was just more experimental. I was into hip hop, like hip hop was my shit. So I was just trying to find my lane in hip hop, what I was good at. I mean, I'm good at rapping, but I think I shine at DJing and producing. Like I think that's why God put me here. So
did you ever break dance or?
Nah, I never break danced. I would love to learn how to break dance. I tagged a little bit, but I didn't take it seriously. Yeah. Other than that, what else? Nah, I was just like a nerd. Music was my thing.
At what point did you decide that you wanted to test out your production skills?
Probably, I started in high school. I think my friend had Fruity Loops, and we was messing around. He was really good at Fruity Loops, but I didn't know anything about it, and he was messing around with some sounds and shit. My head was still deep in it, like DJing, but that's when I kind of a spark went off with producing and shit. Once I seen how you put it all together and the sounds you can make and the melodies and shit,
and all those programs you can use.
Yeah, it opened up a whole nother world for me. So I would say, to answer your question, I would say in high school. right, like shit, right around the same time I got into DJing for real. Like they transitioned perfectly. I mean, when I got into DJing, I didn't automatically quit rapping. I just focused more on, DJing and shit because I was getting gigs and, people were paying attention.
Nice.
What up, yo? Shout out to everybody that's checking in too. Shout out to the interview. We in here.
Welcome. So your debut album, Ignore, didn't drop until about 2 years ago and was executive produced by you and fellow Cincinnati native High Tech. You and Tech have history. What was it like touring with him and Quelly when Reflection Eternal reunited in 2009?
Okay. To answer that last question, touring with them in 2009 was the first tour that I had been on in my life. It was the second time I had left Cincinnati. The first time I went to Paris on my own, but that was some whole other shit. The touring with Quali and Tech just showed me the tour world. I had never been on a tour bus. I didn't know anything about per diem. I didn't know anything. So, and Tech, God bless him, he took me under his wing. He really didn't have to do that for real. But on the tour, he took me under his wing and he taught me a lot about the do's and don'ts of tour and just the do's and don'ts of the music industry and, just how to carry yourself properly. And it was just a life-changing experience for me, I think we did the whole U.S., and like I said, I'd been to Paris, but like that was some whole other shit. But other than that, like I'd never been outside of Ohio, so that was absolutely life changing. So to be able to work on this project, Ignored, with High Tech was it was like full circle. You know what I mean? I was able to bring everything I learned back to Ohio, back to Cincinnati, and we was able to collaborate and have a great project. And the project didn't release yet.
Oh, okay.
It's been a lot going on in the last 2 years, and I've decided to go more of an experimental route with these small EP projects that I'm beginning to put out called Non-Zero Sum Game.
Yeah, I'm talking about that.
And I put out volume 1, and what I'm going to do with the idea is to break the album down into these small EPs, just so I can microdose people with the music instead of, okay, here's a whole album of Clockwork DJ rapping. He was a DJ, but now he's a rapper. Like, I don't want to, even though I don't really give a fuck about what people think, I'm trying to strategically do it so it's fruitful, it's tasteful, so in the midst of these projects you'll see that I'm producing records along with me rapping on the records. So you'll see more of an experimental growth side versus here's all of it at one time, chew on this. I'm like, nah, let's microdose my shit because it's mad powerful. So we're gonna microdose it and take our time. So be on the lookout for. I released Non-Zero Sum Game Volume 1. Non-Zero Sum Game Volume 2 is on the way. Most dope, you already know.
That's smart, just especially in today's world where everyone just wants like 1 or 2 MP3s at a time. So smart.
Yeah, everybody's ADD now. No, I don't think people really. I don't think people really sit down and listen to albums unless they're invested into the artist.
I agree
completely. So.
So where did you first meet Mac Miller?
I first met Mac on MySpace. A lot of people know this story that's probably tuning in. A lot of people probably don't, but I met Mac on MySpace shortly after tour with Quali and High Tech. And my manager, my old manager at the time, had introduced me to Mac's music because I had no idea who Mac was. And so he introduced me to his music. We followed each other on MySpace. It bled over into Twitter. And then it kind of snowballed. It kind of snowballed like that. Rest in peace to my brother. Always. I actually talked to his mother yesterday
Oh, nice. How's
and
she
just sent her
doing?
my blessings and just told her she was on my heart. And, you know, so. But yeah, we met shortly. We met in like 2009.
What was it
10.
like filming the MTV2 reality series Mac Miller and the Most Dope Family back in 2013, 2014?
So that shit was crazy. It was just a blur. We was just having fun. Just this, it wasn't even thinking about anything. Like just thinking about actually how we gonna get to, or thinking about getting to the next hotel to take a nap or to find the next, cool thing to do. It was just, it was a fun time. It was absolutely fun. Yeah,
Nice.
it was crazy. Wait, hold
So
on.
was,
There's this filter. There's a filter that I was trying to. Hold on. Okay. Oh, you can't see the clockwork. There was at the top it says like clockwork DJ, but whatever. That's kind of cool. Do you see
that
the
is
little green?
perfect timing for my next question.
Yeah. Or
So was Clock Twerk the first time you laid vocal for a track? How did it feel to switch roles with Mac?
say that again.
Was Clock Twerk the first time you laid the vocal for a track? How did it feel to switch roles with Mac?
That was actually the second. Oh no. Actually, that was the first official record that we
Mm-hmm.
did together that we put out. So before that, like that I put on iTunes. Before that, we had did a few records. I'm trying to think. Was Duck Hunters before that? Before that, we recorded records, but we didn't put anything out.
Okay.
That was the first record that Mac fully produced for me. Okay, yeah, that was. Okay, my bad. I
Mm-hmm.
had to go. Yes.
That's fine.
That was the first record that he had produced for me fully. But no, that was crazy. That was psycho. I heard the beat and I was like, bro, what? I'm about to rap on this. Like this is my beat. Like this is crazy. It was like 4 a.m. and that's why there's mad goofy raps in it and we just having fun. And he was down to be in the video and yeah.
Nice.
It's like
Someone in the room
one of my
just
favorite records.
asked, "What's the craziest show?"
What's up?
Someone in the room just asked about what the craziest show was.
Craziest show might there's a few, but the one that when people ask me that the main one that like pops into my head is this show that we did in Boston. It was like 50,000 people. This was right after Blue Slide Park, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So he was still brewing. He was still building up to his level. He wasn't really, I mean, he was
Not on
knock
everyone's
knock
radar.
Mac Miller, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like he was, but to have 50,000 people in Boston was crazy. And it was like maybe 6 security guards, 50,000 kids. It was I think on their main plaza, like downtown.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of kids that remember that show that were there. I think there's a video on YouTube. There's a video on YouTube about it or whatever. But it was absolutely ridiculous. It was like at that moment I knew he was out of here. I was like, all right, this is crazy. Like this is nuts. This is over after this.
So your single "Dance" from 2017 was called your boldest, most experimental statement yet. What was the inspiration behind that release?
That one I was at where was that? Coachella. I was right after Coachella, and there was another one that me and Mac had made together. We had collaborated on, and I was supposed to get this feature on it, but it never worked out. And me and Mac was just vibing on it one day, and he was just like, "Bro, you should just release this." It was experimental, and I sent it out to a few people, and that was really a lot of the websites like write-ups. You know what I mean? Like that was their take on it. So
Yeah.
I'm
Speaking
thankful.
Yes, so speaking of websites, in an interview with Billboard at the end of 2017 about the release, you said every 7 years music changes, a new sound is created. Why 7?
I don't think it's particularly. I actually heard Pharrell say it, and
Okay.
I heard uh, Pharrell said it, and why am I drawing a blank? Um, uh, uh,
It'll come to you.
so it's like right here. Quincy Jones. There you go.
Oh, okay.
I heard Pharrell say it, and I heard Quincy Jones say it, and um, I mean, they were just saying that every 7 years, a different sound has, been created. A new artist has come out, or someone has
Mhm.
created a new dance, or something new has transversed in 7 years. And I feel like there's some truth to it. Every 7 years, there's new artists. I mean, that might be different now in 2020. It's like every year, every month, there's a new artist. But this was. I heard them say I heard them say this in early 2000s, so
Mhm.
um and it's something that I live by because, you know, it's something that I want to adapt to every 7 years
Right.
to be able to adapt to something new. Even I mean 7 is maybe 7 and maybe the number should change. Maybe it should be less than 7, but being able to adapt and change and make something new is very key to longevity. So
Yeah, you also got to give it time to evolve and stuff like that. So
yeah, you
I
have to
think
see
7
what
sounds
comes
good.
out and what
Mhm.
people like, and what's dead, what's hot. And I feel like right now is the time that maybe I haven't been doing the math, but maybe it has been 7 years, or maybe it has been some time since there's been a new sound. So
Mhm.
there's an opening, for a new artist, for somebody to come with something new, for people to get excited about.
Definitely. So how did you end up in NYC?
This is a late night interview, so we can keep it a buck. Why do you do your interview so late though? Why so late?
So honestly, because it's the safe time that my 4-year-old son won't jump on.
Okay, that
But
makes sense.
but I have interviewed people overseas at like 5, and then my husband watches him. So
That makes sense. All right, time management. I can dig that.
mhm.
Um, so what was the question again?
How did you end up in NYC, specifically
Uh,
Brooklyn? Because I believe you're in my borough too.
of course I would forget that question, but I came up here for an ex-girlfriend. Initially, I came up here for an ex, but
Hmm.
one of my childhood dreams was to always live in New York. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to live in New York. Growing up, I still wanted to live in New York. Once I started to fall in love with hip hop, I definitely wanted to live in New York. So when I had came to NY, before that I was living in LA. I had
Hmm.
filmed the Mac
Right.
Miller and the Most Dope Family. I had been living out there for about 3 or 4 years, and I had a girlfriend for shit 2 of those last years. So we came back to New York, and for me, it was like I was killing the two birds with one stone because I wanted to always live in New York, and my girl's up there, and why not? Whatever. Long story short, of course that didn't work out, but I had my dream. Not of course, but I mean it didn't work out.
Right.
But my dream of living in New York, I was here. I had
Hmm.
been in New York for a few years. I was able to adapt, find my own spot, and live, comfortably up here. So
Right.
yeah.
So you worked as Mac's DJ for 10 years before his passing in 2018, and you've
Mhm.
said that as long as I'm on this earth, people will never forget about Mac Miller. Where did you find the inspiration to curate multiple tribute shows to honor, the most recent of which occurred in January of this year at Brooklyn Bowl?
It was just love. It was just what I said. You know, I just wanted to. I mean, to keep it a buck, to be 1,000%. It's hard for a lot of people to listen to Mac's music. For me, it was hard in the beginning, but now um, it's more happiness. I guess it's more me releasing whatever I'm dealing with when I play his music. It's a lot of shit for me, but but playing his music is therapeutic for me. But I think for a lot of other people, it might be hard to hear his voice on a lot of records, you know. And I know that's hard. And even when I did when I do the tributes and I play certain records, it's very hard to listen to certain records. I mean, fans are in there, not fans, supporters. I fucking hate the word fans, but supporters are in there, and you know, they're crying, and it's a really surreal experience. So I do it just because I know people need it, even if they don't want it. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, it's just like, it's like listening to an old song that reminds you of something and you don't want to like think of it, but when you listen to the song, you like think of it. It's like kind of one
That's
of
what
those things.
music does. It's memories, always tied to nostalgia.
Yes. Yeah. So I just always want to keep it alive um, because I mean, unfortunately, there are so many people passing away, and so many people are forgotten about, and so many artists are forgotten about, and it's just ugly. So you know, if I can do my part, and that's my brother, you know, he changed my life. You know what I mean? He took me around the world 3 or 4 times. I've met people I would have never met on my own. You know, I probably would, but it would take me a lot
Right.
longer. You know, so I just have a lot of respect for him and his family, and you know, that's the least I can do. So the idea just came from me, just being a real motherfucker. You know, as
Plain
clean as
and
I can
simple.
put it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that's my boy. So
Yeah.
I want to keep it going as much as I can.
Why do you hate the word fans?
I don't know, cause it's like it kind of lowers them from where you are. It's like you're a fan. Like I feel like I'm putting myself on a pedestal. If I'm looking
Okay.
at somebody that like buys my merch, streams my songs, invest in who I am as an artist,
Mm-hmm.
like they are supporting me. You feel me? They're not
Mm-hmm.
fanning me. Like they're like supporting me. You know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm.
fans is just like, I mean, I guess there are fans. Okay, I guess there are fans and supporters because there are some people that are like fans that just have like posters and just like go to all the meet and greets. But those are
Mm-hmm.
like mega supporters. I don't think they should still
I
be
agree
called
with you.
fans. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think fans is almost kind of like degrading almost. Like, oh, it's mad fans outside. Like, oh, it's mad supporters outside. Like it just sound better.
Totally different.
You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Um, so you played a DJ set at Electric Forest, a massive electronic band festival in Michigan
Yeah, our
last year.
stands. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
What was the stands? What was the vibe like there?
At Electric Forest,
Mm-hmm.
crazy, 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 crazy. Shout out to my Electric Forest fam. If any of them are watching, I would love to come back. Electric Forest is like the most vibiest place that I had ever been solo. As far
Right.
as like on a solo act.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually no. China was super vibey, but Electric Forest was vibey because I was in the forest camping
Mm-hmm.
for. I camped for like 3 or 4 days. And usually when I go to festivals, you know, I play a festival and I dip out. I never camped. So I
Right.
camped with, you know, GP. Actually, I was in VIP. I was in VIP camping, but it was
Okay.
still like, you know, it was still regular camping and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it was dope, man. People were like sharing, like cooking in the next tent or in the tent next
Nice.
to us. They were sharing breakfast with us. I mean, it was, yeah, I lost my mind in the forest. It was crazy. It was awesome. And then I performed on the main stage, which was actually is kind of a it was kind of one of those moments. I was in a state where I had almost like quit. I don't know if that, and this is a crazy story, and it might help somebody out. It might, I don't know, but so I'm getting ready to go on stage, main stage at Electric Forest. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's mad hot. It's like 95 degrees, whatever, 95 and up. There's mad people out there, but they're all in the shade. Nobody's in the sun in the front because it's so hot, right? So I go out, I'm mad hype, mad hype. Set my computer up. My computer starts to overheat because it's so hot on stage. And you know, the sound guy has cut the sound. I'm ready to go, right? My computer starts overheating, right? This is my first time on main stage at Electric Forest. My computer starts overheating and I'm like bugging out. Like the song is like playing, but it's like skipping. And I'm trying to nerd out and like do some
Put on a
faders and
show.
shit, but it's like not working. It's like it's like clearly glitching. Like so earlier a buddy of mine, shout out to Honeycomb, he's a beatboxer. And we had met like the night before, and I remember he had came up to me like, "Yo, man, I'm a fan of your music," and we had just talked or whatever. And I had saw his performance. He was like beatboxing on stage. I'm like, dude, it's like killing and shit. So I tell him, I'm like, "Yo, tomorrow I got a performance, main stage, come through." Like I was like, "Oh, you know what? You should beatbox too. You should like come out and beatbox." This is the night before. And he was like, "Yo, dude, I would love to. I never played main stage at Electric Forest, and I would like love to touch main stage." I'm like, "All right, bet." So bam, fast forward the next day, computers jamming, computers glitching, and I'm just like, "Yo," in my mind, there was a moment where I was just like, I questioned if DJing was for me. Like I was just like, damn, like I was just like
Those were
maybe
signs.
yeah, I was just like, maybe this is a sign that like maybe DJing really wasn't for me. You know what I mean? Like I was questioning the DJ gods, like, yo, what the fuck? So out of the blue, a thought just had sparked this in my mind, like, yo, bring Honeycomb on stage. So I end up bringing Honeycomb on stage. He ends up beatboxing for like 10 minutes. I'm up there with the sound guy. I'm up there with the sound guy troubleshooting. He like brings a fan up. The computer cools down. We finally get it rocking. But I mean, it was an eye-opening experience for me. With just like preparation, you know, just knowing the weather, knowing technology. It was fun, but it was also like mad exhausting because I like almost had a heart attack up there on stage. Like it was crazy, but you know, I always believe and trust in God. God got you. And I just dug into my brain and I didn't give up. I was very close because this had never happened. And I had worked so hard to get to this point. And I was just about to be like, man, fuck it. This ain't for me. But yeah, never give up.
You stuck to that.
Yeah, never give up.
So you and Tree J released a handful of 420 mixtapes for a few years. What was that experience like, and is there any chance you have some unreleased material that will come out in the not too distant future?
Yes, and to somebody in the comments, yes, USBs. From there on, I started using USBs in DJ sets when I DJ outdoors, and I'll just have USBs in my backpack just in case for backup. That was also a wake-up call for me to always have a backup because computers, you can always rely on computers. Yeah. You cannot always rely on them, so you need to have even vinyl. I now carry like 7 vinyl just in case I have to play some while I have to troubleshoot technology or whatever. But yeah,
learning experience.
Yeah, the 420 tapes. Um, I love doing the 420 tapes. That's Tree J's thing. I was only a part of it. He inducted me. I was honored to be, to the producer DJ on the tape. But yeah, that's all Tree J's thing. I would love to do some more. If he puts one together, let's run it.
Put it into the universe.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we had fun doing them shits. Those were amazing. Like we had some pretty good names on those. So I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm working constantly. Shout out
Uh,
Zach Hills. What's up, boy?
so it's pretty well known how philanthropic you are with your money and your time. How did the experience of teaching kids how to DJ at Heritage High School affect you as an artist?
It just it made me have a lot more sympathy for people, and it calmed me down and gave me patience because I don't have kids of my own, and I don't really be around kids like that. So a lot of the way that I moved before was a lot of give and go. I was moving fast. I was just living in a whole different world. But going there to the school, it kind of broke me down and chilled me out and humbled me a little bit. I had to go through the education system. I had to go through DOE and get fingerprinted and all these things. And it was just a whole new world for me. And I loved it, because I knew deep down that when these kids grow up and look back like, man, I remember in high school we had this DJ program or whatever. I just know that having taught those kids for was it like 3 years, I know that I changed at least one life in there. You know what I mean? I know that for a fact. So that was the joy that I got out of it, is knowing that I'm teaching these kids something that I taught myself. I didn't even go to school for this, you know. And then B, I'm also teaching them the history of it. I'm not just teaching like, okay, this is the ones and twos, this is how you scratch, this is how you mix. No, I'm teaching them about what I was giving them quick. Actually, Zach Hills is one of my students who's in the chat right now, who's one of my new artists that I'm managing, but we talk about that at the end of the interview. But he was one of my students for 3 years. So he can attest to this. But I would give quizzes, I had this, I wish I would take a picture of it, but I had these handmade quizzes, and and I had like 10 questions. One question would be, what are the 5 elements of hip hop? And the kids had to put down the 5 elements of hip hop. And one question was like, who was the first rapper to win a Grammy? And they had to figure that out. And who created the baby scratch, the first scratch ever created?
Wow.
And so look, so you say for real though, every week. No, for real, seriously. So like I had these different quizzes that I would give them, and it was just so it was learning about the history of hip hop. And also I would come in and play music videos from like the 80s, and some kids would be like, yo, are they still alive? And I'm like, hell yeah, they're alive. You know what I mean? Like they don't know a lot of the
Golden era, yeah.
Where, I'm playing them Run DMC and Aerosmith, Walk This Way. I'm like, yo, this is the first time that rap music ever collaborated with rock and roll. You know what I mean? They like, what? So it's a beautiful class, and I got a lot out of it, and it just elevated me as an artist. I was able to reconnect with the youth, with the generation. What do they call them? Generation Zen or Generation X or Zen G or whatever.
Yeah.
I was able to reconnect. You know what I mean? They was teaching me the new little dances and all. You know what I mean? It's like for a moment I was almost losing that connection, but going back and teaching kind of centered me back to real shit.
Nice. So you brought it up earlier, but so you've released several projects since the pandemic hit back in March, including the two-song EP "Non-Zero Sum Game" with Wes Blanco. I read
Hmm.
that this is the first in a series, like you mentioned. When can we expect the new one?
The new one is actually getting mixed and mastered right now. So next month, you can expect the new one, and I'll have two or three more after that. So, excuse me, just be on the lookout for more EPs, or be on the lookout for the Non-Zero Sum Game EP series, Volume 2, and 3 and 4 is coming. And maybe a few beat tapes and some things in between. But as far as major releases, the next series of EPs, Non-Zero Sum Game. And
Is
by the
here the best?
way, do we know what Non-Zero Sum Game means?
Nope.
Non-zero sum game is kind of the opposite of a compromise. So a
Mhm.
non-zero sum game is if both parties, whatever both parties put into a situation, they both get out. So if we
Okay.
both put in and we both lose, we both lose. If we both win, we both win. So
All
we
right.
are both putting in whatever we have. We're working together.
I like it.
We're working together to win. So that's what a non-zero sum game is. So it's me working with other artists, newer artists, kind of undiscovered artists,
Nice.
to exactly 50-50 split. You know what I mean? It's so non-zero sum game. So yeah, working and collaborating with new artists to put out fire shit, and hopefully something pops, a new artist cracks off, we get this money, and you
Hmm.
know, we
Is
create the new sound that I speak of.
that you just mentioned? Yeah.
You know,
Is here the best place to keep an eye on when that's dropping, or?
my website, my social media, Instagram, and things like that. I'll probably be annoying with the promotion, so you'll
That
see.
no, there's no such thing.
You'll see.
So your latest release, the Remix LP, dropped just last month, which you've referred to as a quarantine experiment. How did you go about choosing the songs you remixed, and how long had you been working on the album?
The remix project.
Hmm.
Those songs I have been working on for about uh, 1 to 2 years. 1 to 2 years. Touching on them back and forth. Those songs were just some of my favorite records. And some of the records, when I was making the beat, I felt like the bounce was good for the lyrics, so it was me kind of digging through some as well, and kind of just really blindfold, just grabbing things and seeing what works with certain beats, and
Hmm.
what certain samples work with certain drums and stuff like that. Just really experimenting. Like that's my shit, is just experimenting with sounds. Um, so that remix project was kind of just grungy and just quarantined and just kind of put together with a bunch of experimental like spacey sounds, and um, I don't know. I love it. I think it's weird, and
Nothing
I
I've ever heard before.
yeah, I don't think I would ever hear anybody kind of take a Fleetwood Mac song and kind of put some 808s and stuff like that. It was kind of fun.
That's what I
Thank
like that a
you.
lot. Who have you been listening to since the pandemic hit?
Yo, I love y'all too. I love y'all too. Um, I've been listening a lot to myself, to a lot of things that I've been working on. Just
Okay.
really just trying to perfect my sound and get my drums and snares to sound better. Other than myself, I've just been revisiting a lot of old albums, a lot of classic albums. I've tried to listen to a lot of newer stuff that comes out, but it's kind of, I will catch a few things, but it's just kind of really hard to find something that I can really sit on. I was listening to the Big New album today, and that's pretty fire. I do
Hmm.
like that. Um, but as far as like classic albums, what have I been listening to? Old like old reggae dub reggae albums like Gregory Isaac, Shabba Ranks, Barrington Levy,
Just listen.
um Uh, and then I'll listen to like some Nature, some AZ,
Okay.
some Nas, of course, some Hove, bunch of East Coast, and then and I've also been going back trying to find the old albums that I collected in high school. Like when I first started listening to rap music, I've been
Mm-hmm.
trying to go back and like re-listen to those albums. Like Big L, The Big Picture, EPMD, Back in Business, Wu
Mm-hmm.
Tang Forever, uh, um, MOP, um,
Old as
like
ice.
Sean Price. I've been listening to a lot of Sean Price lately, actually.
Interviewed
Rest in
his wife.
peace. What's up?
I interviewed his wife, Bernadette, not too long ago.
Oh, for real?
Mm.
Wow, that's an honor right there.
She's such a fantastic human. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. Rest in peace to Sean P. I've been like watching like random freestyles on YouTube. Like he was a
Mm.
monster.
Yeah.
Um, Rock Marciano, as far as new cats, I like Rock
Yeah, he's.
Marciano,
Mm-hmm.
Conway, Butcher, the Griselda dudes.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
dudes are fire.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, but yeah, kind of just staying. And then some days I'll just go super on like on my white boy shit. Like I'll listen to a bunch of Michael McDonald and like
Oh,
like Tom Petty. My first concert that I ever went
nice.
to in my life was Tom Petty.
I'm so heartbroken. I never saw him live. Yeah.
Yeah, like I seen Tom Petty live in Cincinnati. Uh I'll listen to like the Doobie Brothers, like um what's my boys? They got the Black Cow song, Steely Dan. I think
Oh,
yeah, Steely Dan. Those are my boys. Um, so yeah, I sometimes I'll really get in my 80s, like what was that, like 80s soft rock, or like 80s,
yeah. Just,
I
classic
guess
rock or yeah.
classic rock, yeah, like
Hmm.
funk jazz type, yeah.
I don't know if you saw, but someone said that we need some Anita Baker remixes, and I'm like, I'd be down for that too.
I did Anita Baker remix like a couple years ago, but it was like when people were still pressing up CDs. I don't even know if that's on the internet, but yeah, Anita Baker, um, uh, um, um, Patti LaBelle. Uh, I have a bunch of playlists on my YouTube, and I make random playlists on my iTunes, but I don't know how to put playlists on the new iTunes, like how people
Hmm.
put like check out my playlist on iTunes. I don't know how to
Yeah.
build that, but whatever.
That's fine. Where did your idea for your Saturday morning Twitch channel come from?
Another idea that I came up with in my head, just to stay in people's faces, stay relevant, and just kind of show people really where my mind is when I'm at home, and me playing the weird shit that I play maybe might not work in a lot of clubs. So if I can do that and people can sit at home and vibe to it, and if it's therapeutic for a lot of people, which a lot of people have been hitting me, telling me like, yo, when you do these Saturday morning clock tunes, I'm working out to it, I'm cleaning up to it,
Nice.
starting my day to it, whatever it may be, it helps a lot of people out. So I want to continue to do that. And by the way, I'm back this Saturday. I know I missed a few Saturdays, but I'm back,
I
baby.
asked earlier if you were back. Yeah.
Yes, I am back this Saturday.
Tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. Well, yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow, I am back
Nice.
in the morning,
Oh.
baby. Yes.
Do you have any other current projects that we haven't talked about that you want to promote?
Yes. So I have an artist by the name of Zach Hills from Harlem, New York, that I
Harlem.
who was my student at Heritage High School. I told him if he graduated, I would manage him. He
Amazing.
graduated, and I've been his manager now for the last 3 years, I believe. And we just put out his latest single, I Cannot See, which is doing very well on Spotify.
Nice.
He's 18, writes his own music, very stand-up kid. So just, I mean, my most recent post on my IG grid is the artwork of his latest single.
Nice.
So check Zach Hills out. I mean, he's a star. He's different, and I know a lot of people say that about their artists, but I really, I put 100 on him. So
I think you can be reliable in saying that he's different, especially with how eclectic your taste is. And your
I appreciate that. Yeah, he's different. So just be on the lookout. Check him out. Watch his growth. Follow him. Support him. His name is Zach Hills on IG. I think his handle is Zach Hills 18. I think he might be in the comments somewhere. But yeah, that other than the non-zero sum game, I'm concentrating on Zach Hills.
Nice.
So just be on the lookout for that.
Nice. Okay, so back in June, you posted a recording of James Baldwin, who's one of the people I named my son after. In the video, he says, the only people in this country who have any notion of who they are the Black people in this country. Black people have come out of a history which was never written down. How are his sentiments relevant to what is happening in America today?
I mean, a lot of things are being uncovered in America today. A lot of, I guess, a lot of people are waking up. That's more, I guess that's a better thing to say. A lot of people are waking up to what has been covered up and what has been forgotten about. And it's becoming a world revolution or evolution and revolution.
Yeah.
What I got it on my wall? Oh, I wrote it on my whiteboard. I have a big whiteboard over here.
Amazing.
And I write certain quotes down so I don't forget them. But
like
liberation over assimilation. Liberation over assimilation.
Said that.
So this is the time for change, and for a long time, I think my people, we hid in the shadows, or maybe not accepted what it is, or was fearful, or whatever the case may be. I just feel like this is a moment now where my people, we standing tall, and and there's something that we're fighting for, and that we're demanding. And and that's why I posted that clip, because it's so relevant to what's going on today, and we're constantly seeing that it's two different worlds that people are living in. It isn't the Constitution and all the shit that they wrote and things that they wrote. They aren't being upholded to, So it's I just think that it's a beautiful time for people to continue to speak out and continue to not be afraid to say what's on their mind, if it's for the bettering of the future, the bettering of the people. And so I had a bunch of other clips that I wanted to post, but I didn't want to go too crazy and have every video on my grid like different activists saying things. I just really hope that people got that message. And I sat there, and that video on YouTube was like an hour long, and I watched the whole thing. And that just really stuck out to me. So I'm just really respecting the fight, and I hope people don't give up, because our ancestors were fighting for it before we were here. They were fighting for, the same things. So it's going to be a continuous fight.
Right. Not anywhere near over, sadly.
Never. I mean, hopefully it will be.
Right.
But not for a long time. It's just a fight that, a lot of people still don't understand. There's a lot of hate in people's hearts still. And there's still certain people that think they are higher than others because of the color of their skin. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, very much so. Well, Clock, thanks so much for taking the time. Is there anything else that you want to add or promote?
GotClockwork.com. Clock Socks Volume 3 is in production.
Oh, I didn't ask about your socks. I meant to.
Yes, so Clock Socks Volume 3, they're in production right now. I'm getting a design made.
Nice.
Volume 1 and Volume 2 are sold out. Those went really well, but you can expect more Clock Socks. And also go check out the Got Work page on on Instagram. It's my business. Well, the Got Work is where you can find all the Clockwork merch. I have
Nice.
magnets, coasters, I have random cool stuff, stickers. So yeah, check it out.
Very much. Well, very nice. Thank you so much again. I hope you have a fantastic weekend and that your Twitch goes well tomorrow.
Yes, everybody check me out. One love. Be nice to your neighbors. Have more sympathy for people.
Indeed. Have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you.